Today we're going to do a reflection on the year of 2024. Have you taken the time to review your past year, review your goals, review the things you achieved? If you answered no, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to the podcast. My name's Taylor Armstrong. We're here to help you close more deals, generate more leads and referrals, and hopefully have a much better time in the solar industry. Hope you are getting in the Christmas spirit or the spirit of whatever season you're in when you're listening to this podcast. But if you're watching the video version of this, got my Santa hat on. We are spreading Christmas joy. We are saving people money. That's the best gift we can give right now, is the gift of solar panels. Makes a great gift for the kids, for the wife, for the husband. That should be the going joke during all of December. Okay, so use that one. Okay, but I wanted to do this episode on how we can just reflect on the past year. A lot has happened. There's been ups and downs. There's been highs and lows. So I'm going to go through a series of questions that you can use to help yourself reflect on the year and really just track, measure, adjust, and identify things you can potentially improve for the year coming up. And if you are running a team, if you're leading other people, feel free to use this in any trainings, in one-on-ones with your reps. I think it makes a great little activity exercise to do with your team. Okay, so let's jump into it and shout out before we get into the questions here. I want to shout out Jens Bunnell over at Momentum is this company. I'm in his little men's group right now, went to his retreat, and these questions actually came from him. Okay, so I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. A great program if you want to get more into just, mental, emotional training like that. But hopefully he doesn't mind that I steal some of his questions, because literally went through these today with in a Zoom training that he did. So thank you, Jens. Okay, but we're going to go through them, and I think you can apply these to solar, apply these to everything that happened throughout this past year of 2024 or whenever you're listening. Okay, and so and feel free to pause. I'm going to go through the questions. I'm going to give examples of what I wrote down for the answers, and I would recommend this is a good episode to pull out a pen, a paper, a notebook, because these are questions that you should reflect on. Yeah, if you're like me, sometimes we just listen to podcasts mindlessly. Maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're driving, but take some time, maybe re-listen to this when you have pad of paper, pencil, pen, and that's going to be the way that you can maximize this exercise. So question number 1, 2024 reflection is, what was the greatest aspect of this past year? What was the greatest aspect? Okay, so maybe you crushed your goals this year. Maybe you ran a marathon. I don't think of what were the greatest things that happened of 2024. Okay, and hopefully this should be easy. Maybe some of you had tough years, but we're always trying to improve. So some of my greatest aspects, some of my greatest things of 2024 were I was able to achieve several goals that I'd set. I felt like I did a much better job at tracking my goals and actually achieving them. Okay, one of which was reading more books than I probably read, I don't know, since high school, college. And the way I did this was simply just keeping a list on my phone, just on the reminder section, and just tracking the books as I read them. And I'm probably going to do an episode here coming up on all the books that I felt were the most impactful for me. So tune in for that one. But yeah, that was one goal I hit, reading more books than I have maybe ever. And, competing in jiu-jitsu. Some of you that follow me, you've seen I've done several competitions over these past few months. Paid off a few debts. So those were some achievements that I had in 2024. So take a minute, you can pause it, write down your greatest aspects, greatest achievements. Okay, number 2 for 2024 reflection. What were the hardest things you experienced over 2024? Okay, for me, it was, we had our third kid. We got a 6-month baby now, at the time of this recording, and just adjusting to that, dealing with lack of sleep, dealing with trying to juggle having a third kid, getting a bigger vehicle, things like that. It was hard. And then just still continuing to adjust in net metering 3.0, which we're in California. Still trying to get sales volume up, build our teams. It's no secret that solar took a hit for a lot of people this year. California, it's still a tough market. We're still rebounding from, a little bit tougher sales process with having to add batteries. It was an adjustment. Hey, and I switched companies, so I had to adjust to a new sales process, new installers. Takes a minute, and I had to learn some tough lessons. Okay, I would have done a lot better sales wise if I would have adjusted a little bit quicker. So those were some tough things, some hard things for me in 2024. Okay, so again, pause it, write down what were some hard things that you went through this last year over 2024. Okay, and then number 3, what are things that you're still coping with? Okay, so maybe of the hard things you just listed, is there some things that you're still working through, some things that you're still coping with? Hey, for me, it was, I'm still coping a little bit with adjusting to 3 kids, still coping a little bit with, I had a nasty tax situation, which I've done episodes on in the past. Okay, long story short, um, claimed some of that COVID money, went through a long audit, paid the price for that. So I'm still paying off the IRS and finish that audit and paying fees, penalties. So that's something I'm still coping with, is going through, paying off some IRS debt. Just being transparent. Hope you can learn lessons. IRS is not to be trifled with. Hey, but yeah, so write down things that you're coping with, things that you're going through. Okay, and now that you've done that, now we're going to turn the page, turn the corner, and now we're going to look towards 2025. Okay, and if you're watching the video version, we'll probably put up a little graphic of this. Okay, but 2025, and make sure you stay till the end. You're going to want to listen to all these questions. But the first thing of 2025, what is the most important thing for this next year? Okay, maybe you can identify one word. What's your one word that you're focusing on for 2025? If you have to condense it to one word. Okay, for me, it was process. I want to focus on the process. Okay, anyone that follows NBA, if you followed, I think it was, 4 or 5 seasons ago, but when they brought on Joel Embiid, they started bringing on these really good players for the Philadelphia 76ers, and their little slogan was trust the process. Yeah, because they sucked for so long. They finally started getting decent, and their whole thing was trust the process. In other words, hey, I know we suck now, but if you trust the process, we're going to get better. Okay. So I like the idea of that. Not that I suck right now, but process. Yeah, we can all have better processes. So that was my one word that I'm focusing on for 2025. Hey, and question 2, what is the most important professional goal of this upcoming year? Okay, so think of any way you can define professional. For most of us listening to the podcast, it's probably going to involve solar, right? Do you want to grow your team? What number of cells do you want to get? And speaking of that, do you even know how many cells you finished with this year? And this is a good thing to ask yourself. What was your effort level this year? If you have a team, how many cells did your team do this year? How many actual installs did you have? Okay, a lot of people will throw out the sales numbers, but look, hopefully you're tracking this. How many of these actually installed? What was your cell to install ratio? Even better, if you have how many appointments you sat in, good number to know. So you need to know your numbers. And I think as you do that, that'll help you identify some 2025 professional goals that you want. Okay, so for me, myself, I'm continuing to grow my team. Okay, I run a squad here in San Diego. So we are at about 13 reps right now on our personal squad here, on my personal squad. Okay, goal is I'm trying to get the best 25 reps, 25 full-time just killers that are doing, multiple 6 figures this year. So speaking of that, if you do want to look into joining our team, we will post a link in the show notes or in the comments section. Go, if you're listening on YouTube or any other platforms, go click on that. And there is an application to potentially look into joining our team. We have blitzes coming up. We have a few different options. So, yeah, see if you're fit. Not going to be for everybody. But hey, feel free to go click the link below and apply. Hey, but the other thing for me is just continuing to knock out the IRS situation that I encountered. I continue to get we just got a new car, so want to pay that off for 2025 as well. So yeah, those are a few things for me. So again, that's most important 2025 professional goals. Okay, next question is, what is your most important personal goal for the upcoming year? Okay, maybe you need, like myself, for me, we just had our third kid, so I just want to also devote time to the kids. Okay, something I realized going to some of these workshops that Jens did is I need to have intentional time with family. I need to have intentional time with kids, because if not, sometimes I get home 9 o'clock at night. A lot of weeks I wasn't even seeing my kids. So one of my personal goals for 2025, and I would say most important, is just scheduling intentional time with the wife, with the kids. I have at minimum like a monthly outing planned with each of my kids. So it's going to be different for everybody, but hey, maybe it's family, maybe it's spirituality. But yeah, that's a good one to go through. What's the most important personal goal? Hey, and this isn't all inclusive. This isn't meant to be like a goal setting podcast per se, but this is more reflection and then just kind of narrowing down what are your most important things for the upcoming year. Okay, and then the last couple questions here are, what were the top 3 lessons of 2024? Okay, I guess this is a reflection again. So what did you learn? What were 3 things you can take away from 2024? And this one was tough for me. So many things that happen. I'm not a guy that like journals. I need to be better at that. But there's so many different lessons we could talk about, I'm sure. I do narrow it down to just 3. Hey, but the ones I came up with were just being more intentional, living in the moment, and just that I control my future. Right? I can make choices that will affect my future, and I can control my own destiny. Right? So, for you, narrow it down. What were 3 lessons that you learned that you went through in 2024? Hey, and then last but not least, 2025, what are 3 areas of improvements that you want to make in the upcoming year? Okay, mine were, again, being more intentional with family, time with kids. Number 2, just being better at tracking and measuring and adjusting goals and metrics. We talk about this on the podcast, but just knowing your numbers for sales, knowing your numbers for conversations, appointments set, all these things, but then tracking them and actually reviewing them. Okay, one thing I noticed is I'm pretty good at tracking the numbers, but reviewing and adjusting fell short on that. Right? There were lots of months where I didn't really go through the numbers. I tracked them, but I didn't go through and measure and adjust them. Okay, so those are 2 big things that I'm going to improve. Okay, number 3 is just being clear on the goals that I have, making sure they align with my vision and making sure they align with what I want. Okay, so let me know if you like this type of content. We may do a more in-depth goal setting podcast, and a great resource for that is I follow a guy named Michael Hyatt. He does a whole goal setting course every year. It's usually at the beginning of January. I believe it's called Your Best Year Ever. We can link it in the show notes. But if you want a full, it's a 2-day workshop where you go super in depth, identifying all the different areas and just going way, way more in depth into this stuff, feel free to check that out. Let me know if this helped you or your team. Would love to hear your feedback, and shout out to Jens. Thank you for giving me these questions and helping me reflect on the year. Okay, and so next week, if you are listening to this when it comes out, it's going to be Christmas. So Merry Christmas. We'll take a little break from the podcast for the next week. Hopefully you can spend some time with family, be intentional, and take a little time off. I know all you solopreneurs, you want to work on Christmas Day, but please at least take Christmas off. Spend some time with your families. I know there's guys out there that just work too much. And we got some exciting guests coming up here in the future. And we'd love to see you also at Door to Door Con coming up right around the corner in January. So grab your tickets if you have not already for that. The coupon code is Armstrong20, gets you 20% off tickets for Door to Door Con. Can't wait to see you there. Enjoy the holidays. We'll see you next time.